Hey, Dr. Pierce, and again, our WSN Injury Insider, Michigan Sports and Spine, Dr. Jeff Pierce. Check him out right now, by the way. Do that. Lions got a break. They've been getting breaks all year long. And again, more good news today. Penei Sewell, the reports on him, totally fine. Rolled up yesterday in practice, and he's fine. The concern with these offensive linemen, or just anybody in the trenches, when you have a big 300-plus pound guy going down hard and laying down on somebody's ankle, there is a lot of concern there. But when an ankle rolls, what's the danger there? What are you hoping to avoid there?
I mean, obviously, some of the obvious answers is fractures, but the ligaments, actually ligament tears are worse than a fracture sometimes. When you break the smaller bones from the knee down to the ankle, they heal pretty well. There's the tibia and the fibula, but then the bones within the ankle itself, those are more harder to recover from. But it's the ligament. Usually it's mostly ligament damage. That's why I always say the foot ankle is the most disrespected part of our body, but it's involved in everything we do. So when these guys are rolling up, we've seen some crazy ankle injuries that have come back, and this is one of them. So we're fortunate, but they're so strong. These guys are so strong, so there's recovery. Is he 100%? I guarantee he's not 100%, but he's not to the point of injury. And his mental is, I'm okay. You know, the imaging came back with no fracture, no ligament tear, but there's definitely a level of strain. You know, we have our 3 levels of grades of strain, you know, sprain, strain, whatever that really means. It's just a disruption of the ligaments, which is involved, you know, how much swelling, how much discoloration, what's going on. I think the good news for everybody is that he's strong enough and he's got a mental capacity that says, I'm playing, I don't care what's going on. So I think there is a part of the injury.
Love that. The engine that pushes the Lions. Now, we did talk about another guy who's facing an injury right now that we kind of laughed about, Doc. Tell us about arm fatigue.
Arm fatigue?
Yep. Deshaun Watson,
quarterback, arm fatigue.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Sitting out, sore arm.
So I think that's some new verbiage we're going to start hearing. Arm fatigue. That's a good one. And he's under 80 years old, correct?
Right,
he
under
is.
80.
He
Okay.
is.
You want to get back to us on that one? You want to get back to us on that one?
The science behind it may be a little questionable, but arm fatigue, I kind of like. I like the verbiage, but I'm going to rest for a little bit, so I'm really not fatiguing during the season. But I mean, on an honest note, I mean that just means his training program needs to be reevaluated.
Yeah.
There's no real thing of arm fatigue if you're properly prepared. You know, we talk about prevention all the time. Watson is all about his game, whatever game he's playing. But right now, I don't like that diagnosis. I don't like that thought process. It is, you know, is it the new version of the NFL of resting your best players until they're ready? Arm fatigue, we're going to put that in quotes somewhere.
Yeah, we didn't like it either.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the show. I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to get back to the Lions. 2 players specifically, Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, both guys with hamstring injuries. Neither guy seems serious. Dan Campbell said at the podium yesterday that they'll be back to practice on Sunday after the Saturday game, and then they'll be prepared to go week 1 against the Rams. Hamstring injuries and different levels of them. I mean, I think there was some concern when Gibbs went out specifically that he was going to be out a number of weeks and maybe even miss part of the season, but didn't seem as bad for him or Laporta.
Right. I think we're playing the cautious flag right now because as Campbell is moving, you know, like I say, hopefully we don't play his back and he bites me in the behind. But he's got to start thinking he needs his key players, right? His key players need to rest. The hamstring is all about a strain. It is a very large muscle. It's made up of 3 different muscles, a lot of ligaments, a lot of things going on back there because it is a big, powerful muscle, especially in Gibbs. I mean, that's his forte. You can't be moving without a hamstring. Between his glute muscles, his butt muscles, all that, and his quads, he's got to have good balance because he's such a shifty player. It's so determined on a yard or two if he can, you know, make that cut that lateral. He's going forwards, backwards, lateral, and diagonal. So hamstring is key, and if he's protecting that, that can lead to hip injuries, knee injuries, and stuff like that. So the mechanics of him, I think Campbell's playing it smart. Between the medical team, let's rest these guys, let's get them ready, and there should be a lot of proactive prevention going on with it. And there's some secret sauce that I'm hoping that they're utilizing right now.
Forget about professional athletes for a minute. I just think of like the regular people out there who might be watching this. Like, for instance, I'm doing a renovation at my house. I'm not doing it, but yeah, I'm not doing it, but I'm supervising. It's coming to the end, and I have been moving these boxes because it's essentially like you move out of your house and then you got to move back in.
Right.
And I found myself just dying. My hamstrings were just dying over the weekend. Like, what is that?
Leg fatigue.
Yeah, is that leg fatigue? What is that? Like, what kind of hamstring?
You beat me to it.
What kind of, in other words, what kind of hamstring injuries do you see at your office? Like, what are people doing out there besides moving boxes? And they're middle-aged 40-year-old men.
You probably need to think about your training program.
Yeah, look at my training program. Got it.
If I get enough time, I will admit to a story that I have that's a little embarrassing. But what do we see we see everything, right? We see complete tears. I mean, because we see such different variety of athletes. You have a complete tear, where if it's mid-belly a tear versus off the bone a tear, all those are involved. When we talk about hamstring strains, those are inflammation of the tissue. Can there be small micro fractures, micro tears? Yeah. And what's a micro tear? It's very small, but it's painful, right? That thing has to heal. When you look at the process from a physiological standpoint, you'll have a small tear and it will be like no big deal, but it's the inflammation, everything around it. Like we hear about, football injuries where you get a helmet to the thigh, either the in front with the quadriceps or in the back with the hamstring. You get a little blood accumulation in there. All of a sudden, people are like, I need to rest it. It's the last thing you're supposed to do. You have to beat it, actually beat it out. It's not a resting thing. It's a stretching and being aggressive to get quick recovery. A lot of people they'll baby it, which is the wrong thing to do. And then we look at months of recovery. But with, that's kind of thing at Michigan Sports and Spine, we treat them like an athlete. Like our motto is, you got to be playing by Sunday type of thing. Because the football team has all that specialized personnel, equipment, everything else to recover. So for the weekend warriors, the people lifting boxes, if you do get that hamstring.
I mean, come on. You should have seen this. I mean,
it was a heavy box.
They were very heavy boxes. Very heavy.
But the thing is, for you, I mean, it's not rest it. You have to stretch it. You got the Theragun. I love the Theragun. You take the Theragun to that area. You take your little anti-inflammatories. I mean, if you couldn't walk or you're limping, you got to brace it and secure it. Compression shorts. You got your compression shorts on right now.
Naturally.
Okay.
How did you know? You want to see?
You look fit. You look very fit today.
Doc, so
I'm not going to mention.
We had a big free agent signing this offseason in DJ Reader, who had his knee scoped in June. He's on the PUP list right now. He hasn't practiced yet. They asked him 3 days ago what his timetable was. He was unable to give us an answer. In his first 4 years, he only missed 3 games. His 5th year in the league, his first with the Bengals, he missed 11 games. He then went on to miss 2, 6, and 3. My question is, and I know that we want to talk about knees today, but my big question is how true is being injury prone? Is there a point in a guy's career where he gets one injury that affects his mind or his body or both, where you start seeing this guy playing 80% of seasons or even less over and over again for the rest of their career?
Talk about Kawhi Leonard? No.
Oh, boy.
Kawhi Leonard?
He played a lot this year, actually.
No, he didn't. Anyhow, yeah, I mean, there's 2 components, right? Let's just take the injury prone. These guys usually, like you said, he didn't miss much in the first 4 years, so we can't label him as injury prone. But the thing is, what is he doing? Like we call it the Brady factor, or I'm trying to call it the Brady factor, where you're seriously taking care of your castle, right? You're taking care of your body on a regular basis. guys are floating through their youth in those first 4 or 5 years, and maybe they're not doing the proactive preventative stuff like we'll label the Brady factor. So that's probably, I would start pointing to that. Gets that first injury, he's out 11 games. Then maybe he's getting mentally strong, like, I got to be a little bit more proactive. And then the mental does raise in, right? You're seeing the young guys coming up. They're faster, they're quicker. What am I going to do to keep doing it? So I'm glad you brought all those things up, because they all, honestly, we think they're superhuman, these players. They're not. They got mental. They're watching it. They got an agent yelling at them. They got a lawyer yelling at them. They got the GM yelling at them. There's a lot of pressure on them to stay youthful. I mean, the average length for a football player is, 4.5 years? So he's pushing all that. The guys that really survive are the ones that are strong mentally and can get serious and mature quicker than the rest. So that may be where we're at, that he's learned. Like, even talking to Braylon. When Braylon's here, he'll show you his learning curve through his professional career also.
Let me stick with Reeder for a second. So in December, tore his right quad. He's out there. He's not, practicing. Like, what is a legitimate timetable for somebody that tore a quad?
It's a major muscle.
It's a major muscle. He says he's out there. I'm just reading a Detroit Free Press, just some quotes. No real timetable, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about where I'm at in rehab, running around a little bit. So I'm excited where I'm at. I don't necessarily have like a day or exactly when I'll be back, but I'm feeling good.
But a knee scope in June as well. So, you don't stick a camera in your knee for nothing.
Yes, the answer is yes. Sometimes it is minimal. Sometimes we're just going there to look to make sure nothing major is going on. Cleaning up fragments. Like fragments, we like in common day people, we're like, oh, I got a little bone fragment, I feel a little. But for them, with the torque they're putting, it's major. So sometimes just going in scope, pull out just doing a cleaning house.
But
right?
a December injury.
We're looking almost September here.
Yeah.
That's 9 months. Usually most things heal in 6.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 is the magic physiological number that we look at. We're pushing to 3 to 4 with some of the cocktail sauces that we do now. So is there a mental picture? When you say I'm just running around a little, he's far from.
Yeah. It sounds like he's far from playing
field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, there's a lot to go into that, because you got to get recovered. You got to feel confident. You got to have mental confidence, and then you got to get your fast. For a position like him, his fast twitch fibers are major. Right. He's got to have such a quick reaction time, changing positions. With a knee and a quad, that change of position is hesitant. You put them in a lineman, they're not changing positions too much.
Let me ask you one more about Terrion Arnold, the pec injury, and that's how it's been described, a pec injury. He, too, will be back in a week or so practicing, according to Dan Campbell anyway. Nothing major, but different variations. And again, we saw the pec injury for C.J. Gardner-Johnson last year, sent out pretty much the whole year, but different levels of the pec injury.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking a tear versus a small strain. We're talking about a torn muscle versus what I believe is just a small strain if he's coming back this quickly. And it's more, I think, we're learning, Campbell's learning, the medical team's learning that, we're going to make a run for the Super Bowl this year. We need our main players healthy. Let's be proactive, preventative, whatever we're going to call it. But, I mean, they do have a good medical team there. I think it's more of precautionary with him at this point. So I'm hoping it's not a true comparison. So hopefully game 1 or at least by game 3 he should be back and active with them.
We talked about J.J. McCarthy tearing the ACL or the MCL or whatever CL he tore. Meniscus. Whatever. You said you had a recreation of that. You have a video of that, Doc?
Oh.
Yeah, we were hunting through our little TikToks or whatever. I don't know if we can play it real quick. But it's just
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
No.
Ouch. Who's this guy? What's happening?
So this is a fan that's just eager to get to the best seat. Kind of lost it. But I think like you just did, was it the MCL, ACL?
BBL, CBS, NBC, DVD. He tore them all.
He tore them all. He took them all out.
This
So
poor
we would have
guy.
got the audio on that. That's kind of saying. But that's the thing. With JJ, I mean, it's still a little bit of a mystery why he's season ending, right? You know, it wasn't the MCL. It wasn't the ACL. It's the meniscus, which is considered the cushion part of the knee, where we do see recovery at best 2 to 3 months. So I don't know if they're just sitting him down mentally and then, hey, we'll revisit it if we feel like it. Did they give themselves an out? But usually a meniscus on a high-level athlete, you're working pretty hard to get him back. You know, it's not an ACL. An ACL, God, we're seeing ACLs back in 4 months and playing and running backs and stuff like that. So there's either more of the story we don't know, or they're just up in Minnesota doing whatever they want. Because I think he was a Mayo Clinic guy. He wasn't one of the mainstream docs that you're going to for knee injuries nationally. So I think there's more to the story. I think ideally, if he's motivated, he's coming back to play this year.
Been any concerts lately? What has your summer been like? I mean, I always like to get into the mind of Dr. Pierce because you live a life that I think so many of us only wish we could aspire to be. Who are you hanging out with these days, Doc?
Well,
what star, what celebrity are you hanging out with these days?
There's a big up-and-coming that I'm not truly familiar with. You know, when you have to go to your kids and hear about it. Omar Apollo, he actually jumped off a 6-foot riser, landed kind of hard. The guy's 6'6". I don't know. You guys don't know who he is.
I'm north of 45 here, so I don't know who.
Yeah,
he
I heard
is
the average age was 21.
Yeah, dang.
So good for him.
Absolutely, God bless him.
But he's an up and coming. He's been an opener for years now with Live Nation. He's now a headliner. You know, he's got a big tour coming. But he actually hurt his back, and we gave him some secret sauce so he could perform last night. I'm proud to say he did perform his whole concert, and I have treatment going on with him in Chicago tonight where he's got a day off, and he's got that busy young schedule. But basically he jumped off a riser, landed hard, zinged his back, and popped in, couldn't move an hour later. So.
And then they called Dr. Pierce on the case, called him up.
That's right.
We love it. Man.
No, but Kenny Chesney was a week ago. I mean, there's a lot.
That was a good show, I heard.
It was a great show.
Yeah. Great
energy. Country's got great. He's been doing it for a while. He's a big sports guy.
Yeah.
You know, I know he was on ESPN the other day just talking. He talks the real sports.
Yeah.
He plays all the big football stadiums for a reason.
It's amazing, man.
So,
you get those stadium crowds.
Oof. I mean, we were able to be up on stage. Being out there, I mean, with 70,000 people just listening to every word you have, and
next level, bro.
It's kind of like you, right?
Yeah, sure.
You know, I heard you can't even walk alone up north anymore.
I can't even get my wife to listen to me, so it's fine. Dr. Pierce, we appreciate you, my friend. We'll see you next week, if not sooner. WSN Injury Insider, Michigan Sports and Spine Center, Dr. Jeff Pierce.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that I trust. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.